Anyway, let's now talk the talk about what's happening on YouTube. What is happening on YouTube, Isuma? Oh, I tell you, things are happening. Things are happening. I watched this video by a channel called Nerd City. Shout out to Nerd City as well. I don't do shout outs. I hate saying that. Shout out to Nerd City. Let's be more articulate. There is a good YouTube channel you would probably be interested in checking out called Nerd City. It's really good. Just one of these like kind of like investigative around the whole YouTube drama / what's going on this YouTube platform type channels. They make really good videos over there, and they don't make them very frequently. I think the last one must have been like half a year ago or something. Feels like it's been a while. Anyway, they've kind of looked into the whole demonetization fiasco that is constantly going on YouTube. So there is a lot of drama discussion. Lots of channels get hit. They get demonetized. And, you know, what is causing this? It's keywords. And, of course, the LGBTQ community have come out saying that, you know, like they are being unfairly targeted and that they're going to sue YouTube over this. And when I first saw that, my thoughts were, I don't think you're being targeted specifically. Like, everyone is dealing with this constant problems of YouTube. But as Nerd City kind of showed, they are actually being directly targeted because they've sort of shown that it is the words themselves that seem to be on a blacklist. So various different people have been experimenting with uploading all sorts of different videos and then changing the name of a video and then changing it back again, and they find out with like queer or gay or, you know, LGBTQ in the title of the video, they can simply add the word, remove it, add the word, remove it, and they can watch the ticks, you know, go from green to yellow. They can see the demonetization happen, and that is like really not cool, considering that time and time again, YouTube are coming out and saying there is no list that's causing this, yet creators have managed to create a list together and, you know, create a list of the words that cause issues with the monetization system. And as the video goes on to say, YouTube need to be transparent. If they're not going to be transparent, they're going to have a problem. And once again, I think they're just going to find themselves getting attacked on all fronts. It's this problem that YouTube has is it's so massive and it's so difficult to figure things out that when these dramas and controversies stir up for like quite a while now, it just seems like they're getting attacked on both sides. They can't seem to find something that pleases everyone. It's kind of crazy. So Dragamorph says YouTube is screwed. I don't think they're screwed. Like, that's such an emotive way to try and express something. Like the whole situation that they're in is very detailed. There's many different ways of looking at it and thinking about it, and we don't know what moves they're going to make and what moves could be made. It's going to be an unfolding process, and I doubt that the end of YouTube will happen. It'll change. There's a possibility that you know, it could end up getting scaled down or losing its dominance. Maybe another competitor comes along. But anyway, in the Nerd City video, they kind of get to what might be happening next, because they started to talk about the attempted YouTube union actually gaining some grounds by working with a German union, I believe, inside the EU, and actually getting people inside the European Union as well to use the, what was it called, the GDPR Act, and say that you know, YouTube is violating their European laws by doing this kind of stuff and the way that they're treating creators. So there are things like happening and movements forming, and who knows where they're going to lead, you know. Doesn't mean that YouTube are going to get broken down, but certainly things are going to happen. And again, they're sort of getting attacked on all sides. I say attacked like they've made this situation for themselves with their decisions. But they can't please advertisers, and they can't please their content creators as well. And in the video, there's two more things he points out in the video. One that I've talked about here before as well. The advertisers don't seem to understand that adverts are targeted. And I notice viewers don't understand it as well, because I get comments on my video that's like, oh, it's so weird, I saw this type of, you know, advert, what's up with you, Asuma, that kind of thing, like pointing the finger at me. Why did I get this advert on your video? The adverts that you get are because of your browsing behavior. and your activity online, the footprint that you've created. If you see an advert, 99% of the time when it's one that's rolled before the video, not an integrated ad, a sponsorship or something like that, that advert has been rolled out to you because of your online footprint and your online behavior, the things that you look at and the interests that you have. And advertisers don't get that. They don't realize that if you open up a video and their product is on it, I mean, as I just said, actually the audience don't understand this as well, some of them, but it's something that needs to be communicated. Like, your advertisement is not an endorsement of the content, it is an endorsement of the viewer. Like, it turned up there because of the viewer's behavior and habits. So the one other thing that I'm trying to remember about the whole Nerd City thing had something to do with the list. Oh yes, okay, so he did some research and speculation because YouTube said that they were hiring a lot of people to help make these lists, right? Or they didn't say that, but that's what we're theorizing is happening, right? So the volume of people that were hired would suggest that in order for it to be, financially possible, that they would be hiring people from kind of countries where workers don't get paid as much, and the kind of places where you have big call centers, and those countries tend to have far more conservative views and less rights for certain groups of people, which may explain why, if they've put a load of people in charge of creating these lists, they've ended up being the way that they are. And I always find it really fascinating to think about YouTube as something very big and complex. Think about how you have a headpiece figure who comes out and makes statements about what's going on inside of YouTube. But then you've got to realize that they might not actually know the full picture. It depends what's been communicated to them. Maybe they've told someone to do a job in a particular way and that person has actually chosen to do something a little bit different. I mean, there are so many different points of communication and interaction inside of a massive company like YouTube. You don't know at what point what thing is happening, so it'll be very interesting to see if this video or the continuing pressure on them stirs up some sort of reply where they clarify if these lists exist or not, because there's some pretty strong evidence out there now that's saying that they do, and they've been saying that these lists don't, and they're getting sued over it as well. And so transparency is always good. I think it would be so much better for the CEO, Susan, and I don't try and say her second name because I'm the butcher of names, right? To just be transparent and be like, I thought we weren't going to have these lists, but we set up some teams to make something happen, and turns out they made a list. Like, if that's the way that it happened. I always just think that kind of transparent approach, if your intentions are originally good, which I believe hers are, it would be pretty mad for her to go around saying, we don't have lists, we're not trying to target this group of people, like, we're trying to support them, and then do the opposite. I'm pretty sure it's just like, it's going to be like, just the issues of trying to solve such a big problem through a big structure of different people, different teams and skill sets all over the place. Like, it must be quite a big structure, and anything someone on the other side might view as extreme will probably not be something advertisers will endorse. Unfortunately, you can never make everyone happy. EC, that's absolutely right. However, I think the point I was trying to make earlier is that an advert before a video isn't an endorsement of the video. They may perceive it that way, but that would suggest they don't understand that their advertisement is endorsing the video. It's actually the person who's watching has determined that advert is going to go there. So let's say you have an advert for a water bottle, right? Someone who watches some form of extreme content, or someone who watches some form of Minecraft content, probably both enjoy water, right? We're 70% water. I've picked one of the most common things humans have. We've all got water in us, and we all need to drink it. So yeah, like, it's not the content, but the fact that they perceive it that way kind of makes it true in some respect, right? And if the perception there shifts and people see it differently, both advertisers and the audience, that could help solve the problem. Eerie Eyes says, something I've always wondered, does a viewer skipping an ad on YouTube affect the content creator in any way? As in, do they get less money on their video? I'm really not sure how advertising and monetization works. Well, let me tell you. Short answer is yes, but the answer I'd like you to think of is no. Very strange way to respond to that, right? But basically, don't ever worry about it in terms of, am I supporting this content creator? When you tune in to watch content, the ads, how long you watch them for, if you click, all of that stuff, it does actually make a difference. But we're talking about very small amounts of money, right? Like fractions of a cent for each person who tunes in to view. You need thousands of viewers for those cents to add up into dollars, right? Now, what will actually help content creators more is enjoying their content, is literally just let it be authentic and organic. If you want to skip the ad, skip it, because you're talking about a fraction of a cent most of the time. If you want to support a content creator, you just watch their content, enjoy it, because the algorithm also aggregates how much watch time there is. So if 100 people watch a video and they all watch 1 minute of a 10-minute video, the algorithms will divvy up like 10% of ad revenue. If you watch 100% of the video, you get 100% of ad revenue. Now that's just an example. I don't know exactly what the percentages are and how it works entirely, but basically the more engagement you have on a video, the more people have watched it. And I said engagement, I think it's actually just the viewer retention metric that will pay out more. So if you make a very engaging video that has, let's say, 10,000 views, and then you make a not so engaging video that has 10,000 views, you know, the one that engaged more or had more watch time, should I say. Getting those wrong around a couple of times now, aren't I? That's the one that will pay out more. So I hope that has cleared that up for you and made sense. It is not a list of blocked words, Asuma. The bot has just learned the words are bad, says Marstan. Well, here's the thing. Go watch the Nerd City video, because like there clearly is a list, and if YouTube is saying there isn't, they have inadvertently created one, which is why I was talking about how, you know, inside of a big team, someone somewhere asking for a solution to a problem, then it gets passed down to the next person, gets passed to someone else. At some level, the technical solution they come up with might actually not fall in line with the original plan. It's how I would describe what's going on there. But they've also speculated that where they've hired people from these conservative countries, that means that would explain even why these particular words have ended up in these lists, because I think he went into detail about how you manually review this stuff. Like they requested manual review, and then the manual review got denied, that kind of thing. I can't remember the specifics. It was a very good video though. The bot made a list. Just because they didn't put a list of words in the beginning doesn't mean there isn't one generated by the bots. Yeah. I mean, we don't know what's happening behind the doors is the point, and YouTube needs to be transparent and needs to explain and come out and say, look, what's going on, I think, because this video, like, is pretty damning. It really does make it feel like there is something rather wrong going on here. There's little difference between learned AI behavior and manual list in this case. The important discussion is how it affects users and creators. Geeksman's World, interesting spin on the take. Yeah, maybe we should be looking more at creators and how we can get to a solution rather than maybe focusing on a problem we're not entirely sure what it is. Soko Build says, I think the reason that YouTube isn't being transparent right now is because Google owns YouTube, and Google is very secretive about their operations and algorithms. If Google are secretive, well, we know they are secretive, and if that extends down to YouTube, which it seems to most definitely do, that could be possibly why things are the way they are, but internally they would know what these algorithms are doing. So if they are creating lists of banned words that will ban you every time, then that should be communicated somewhere and eventually communicated to us, you know, transparency. You seem to throw the agenda word around when you spoke about BBC last stream. I definitely did, and that's because I got a pretty long, I guess what you call it, like a long time record with them. It might be one of those things though where you kind of get something ingrained in your mind and you end up like looking at it the same way every time, but I tell you, I've seen a lot of BBC reporting over the years that really is like grinded my gears because I can see the tactics, um, of like acting as if you're neutral but giving the microphone to the same people over and over again. That kind of attitude.